Ratchet and Clank just turned 18. Old enough to drink in the UK now. If the pubs were open, that is. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Now you're probably thinking,
well, obviously, you wet wipe. Insomniac is a Sony-owned studio.
and I gotta tell you, ma'am, you'd be absolutely correct, except I don't just mean that it's a PlayStation exclusive, I mean it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. The same thing cannot be said for all games releasing after November 12th. A lot of games will be releasing on current gen hardware as well as next gen, and it seems like some gamers aren't too keen on that idea, thinking that releasing games this way will somehow hold back the next generation. I'm gonna give a quick history lesson and try to explain why I don't think that's true, but first, if you can find the secret hidden in this video, tell me when and where in the comments and I'll pin you and put you in the next video. Let's look at some next gen exclusives, shall we? Which will eventually become just platform exclusives, or just new video games, when they fizzle out cross-gen releases. And a lot of the games I'm about to mention I have talked about in a previous video, so feel free to go over there and watch that. I'm going to start with PlayStation 5 only, and I'm also including timed exclusives in this, because technically they are exclusives. To start with. Of course we got Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Gran Turismo 7, Demon's Souls, Returnal, Astro's Playroom, Destruction All-Stars, Final Fantasy 16, which I feel may actually break some long-standing series traditions, and you can see my video on that right here. Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, Godfall, and Project Athia. And I don't think we're going to see Project Athia anytime soon. I have a sneaky suspicion that game is quite far behind in development. And let's take a butchers at some Xbox Series exclusives, shall we? Again, including timed exclusives. We got Fable, which I'm very much looking forward to, State of Decay 3, Forza Motorsport, Everwild, Avowed, Stalker 2, The Medium, with inspiration taken from Zdzisław Beksiński and having Akira Yamaoka of Silent Hill fame on board. Really think it's gonna define horror for the next generation. I made a whole video on it, why don't you go check it out? Guys, a lot of plugging in this video, isn't there? Warhammer 40k Darktide and Scorn. And the art style of Scorn is interesting because it's inspired by artist H.R. Geiger. And fun fact, H.R. Geiger actually designed the microphone stand used by frontman of Korn. So they're all purely next gen exclusives. I'm now gonna quickly run through cross-generation games for next gen. So these are all just next gen but cross-gen. Again, let's start with PlayStation 5 and PS4. We have Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is a full game, it's not a DLC, and Sackboy A Big Adventure. Now they're really the only ones we know about for definite at the minute that's coming to both platforms, and there's most likely going to be others coming up. In fact, I almost guarantee it. God of War probably will be on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Feel free to come back here and tear into me when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong. And for the Xbox Series, we have Halo Infinite. Infinite being the amount of time we're going to have to wait for this game to release. Am I right? Original joke. As Dusk Falls, The Gunk, Bright Memory Infinite, Crossfire X, and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So now the next thing to look at is cross-platform and cross-generation, starting with Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I have you know is not just a clone of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I made a video talking about that, which you can see. I'm very much looking forward to it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I desperately want, but I really want to play it on next gen, so I'm waiting until the Xbox Series X comes back in stock for me to buy. I could be waiting a while. Far Cry 6, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, insert subtitle, insert subtitle, insert subtitle. These names are getting ridiculous. Little Nightmares 2, which I've had my eye on for ages because I played Little Nightmares when it pretty much first came out and I was so surprised by that game. It's the only thing I've ever experienced that's both cute and creepy at the same time. It's such a great game. I highly recommend playing it. Gotham Knights, Phantasy Star Online 2, New Genesis, Balan Wonderland, FIFA 21, Cyberpunk 2077. Should we add an Infinite on the end of that one as well? And Hitman 3. So let's really talk about cross-gen releases now, because this has pretty much happened for as long as I've been a gamer, probably for as long as I've been alive. I mean, just look at some of these. Another list. You got Aladdin for the Sega Master System and Sega Mega Drive. 2002 FIFA World Cup for the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox and GameCube. Hitman Blood Money for the PS2, Xbox and 360. Star Wars The Force Unleashed for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Twilight Princess for GameCube and Wii. Oh come on guys. Fun fact. The Wii version was actually mirrored because Link was left-handed, but the majority of people are right-handed. Tomb Raider 2013 was released on PlayStation 3, 360, and PS4 and Xbox One. Grand Theft Auto 5 was the same. Online is coming to PlayStation 5, most likely Xbox Series X as well. And of course, FIFA 14, which was released in the same year as the PS4, and FIFA 14, released in the same year as the PlayStation 4, also released on the PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 2. I'm pretty sure it was like the last game to release on the PlayStation 2, but think about this. It came out the same year as the PlayStation 4, and it was releasing on the PlayStation 2, a console that came out in 2001. That's mad. However, games need to come out cross-generation. They have to. At the start of the generation at least. There's a couple of reasons. Only the hardcore gamers and people with a bit more disposable income are going to be early adopters for new consoles. There's just not going to be enough consoles out there, which we've kind of experienced now, especially with all the COVID what's going on. Demand is a lot higher than supply at the moment. But also, these games need to sell to the biggest audience possible. And because there's not going to be as many consoles out there in the wild, it's only going to be the people with a little bit more money and the hardcore gamers that are getting the new consoles. The net's just not big enough, you know? These games need to be released cross-gen until the new generation is a bit more mainstream, which to be honest probably isn't going to happen for about 2 years. That's why you're going to see a lot more games release on both PS4, Xbox One and Xbox Series and PS5. Does that mean that these games releasing on both gens hold back the next generation? No, not at all. Especially when you factor in the sorts of things like smart delivery and just upgrades is what Sony's going with, which, you know, why confuse everyone with its own name? The same game is being made regardless. It can run on both consoles. They're going to run smoother and a lot better on the newer consoles, but they still work on the older consoles. The older consoles still have enough horsepower to just about manage it at a lower fidelity. All the gameplay, the story, the music, everything is still there. The only thing you're not getting is just the raw graphical power. It makes all these games more accessible and includes everybody. It just allows more and more people to enjoy these games, and that's a good thing. You want people to enjoy these games. You want as many gamers as possible to do what they love, and that's gaming. So you need to have these cross-gen games. Playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Xbox Series X or Xbox One is gonna be the same experience. It's just gonna look way more better on the Xbox Series X and just run a lot smoother. The same game as a whole is going to be able to be played on the Xbox One. Two different people can both enjoy it if they've got those consoles, and someone having the Xbox One version playing the game isn't going to take away from you enjoying the Xbox Series X version. It's still the same game. And there's also the fact of, at the start of the generation at least, developers are still learning the capabilities of the console. It's not a case of these games holding the next generation back. It's a case of the developers don't fully understand the full potential of next-gen hardware, and we're not fully going to understand that until we're a couple years in. All you need to do is just look at the last few games that have come out on PlayStation or Xbox and compare them to the first few that come out. The difference is incredible because developers learn all these new tricks and different ways to utilize the system to its full potential. The argument is also to be made of that's why they get dev kits so early on, but I think my point still stands. There are some games that can work across generations. In fact, most can, and do. But I believe that's not the case for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. The gameplay mechanics involved in this game is essentially a lot of fast travel. So if it was released on the PS4, then you might as well just call this loading the game. Just look, when we first saw The Witcher 3 using fast travel on the Xbox Series X, it almost looked broken because of how quick it was, and things popping in. What I'm mainly trying to get at here is that cross-generation games are essential to keeping everybody involved and ensuring a smooth transition to the next generation. Gameplay, music, story, they're all going to be the same on both generations. It's just one's going to look prettier, run a bit smoother, and load a hell of a lot faster. The experience may be lesser on the last generation, but at least we can all get involved in doing the things that we love. But if you truly feel that cross-generation games are wrong, get a PC. Which games are you looking forward to playing either cross-gen or next generation? I'm very much looking forward to playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla when I can get my hands on an Xbox. Send that like button for a rift in time and space, and subscribe for discussions on all things gaming past, present and future. Want to see more of next gen games? Click the card in a second to see how I think the medium will define horror for the next generation, and I'll see you over there. Bye bye.